yeah, I could have done it, but, or if. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Make the impossible possible. Do the unthinkable. Go the next level. Do the next rep. Work hard when the camera's not on you.
Becoming paralyzed is many people's worst nightmare, but to me, it's my reality. I'm Cruz, and today, I'm bringing you into my world. Let's hope you can get some perspective, and let's have a chat. Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Paralyze This. I'm Cruz Bogle, your wheelchair-bound quadriplegic host of the show. The point of this show is to try and change your perspective on just about everything in your life. And here with me today, strapped in the chair, I have the Vince Papale. He is the legendary Philadelphia Eagles football player, and the 2006 film Invincible was created after his life, and he actually had Mark Wahlberg play him, which is pretty amazing, man. So I'm glad to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Great to be here, Cruz. This is great. I'm going to have to get Mark strapped in here one time. That would be the ultimate coup when it comes to that.
Certainly would.
Yeah, man, it's great to be here with you again, buddy.
Yeah.
It's always great to see you.
Yeah, man, you as well.
Thank you.
So we got you strapped at the chest, strapped over the arms, strapped over the legs, and strapped down at your shins here. And the point of this is to try and help raise awareness for people living with disabilities, as well as change people's perspectives, whether they don't know somebody with a disability, they've never had to be faced with it. So this is just kind of to try and open some people's eyes to a different perspective.
That's a great perspective. I would imagine that some people just they're uncomfortable being around those that are disabled, but you make it easy.
That's what I'm trying.
Yeah, I mean, you really do, because you take away that guilt factor that we feel for being so healthy. And when I come across a guy like you, they should make movies about you, so Incrucible or something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll talk to some producers, man.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll have to show on this podcast. We'll do something's got to happen after this. That'll be fun.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, man.
So how we connected, your son, Vinny Jr., played on a good friend of mine, J.P. Caruso's Delaware football team. And I met you when I went up to one of their games. And Vinny's been down here training, and I actually had him on the show, talking about his journey in football and how he's trying to make it to the next level of NFL or XFL or CFL. So now to have you here on the show is pretty awesome, man.
Well, it's pretty cool. It's great to be here. Life's a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Invincible is about. It's all of our journeys. It's yours, it's Kyle's, it's mine, Vinny's, my wife's. We've all got those journeys, and that's the beauty of it.
100%.
Yeah, man.
All right, so for people out there who may not know who you are or may not have seen the Invincible movie, can you just kind of tell me who Vince Papale is?
Well, I'm Vinny's dad. How's that? Yeah, Vinny and Gabriella, and Vinny's sister, Gabriella. I'm their dad, and I'm my wife's husband. Basically, I was a dreamer. I was a kid, grew up small. My mom and dad never got beyond the 8th grade. My father and mother, both from immigrant families. My mom's family coming from England. Her great-grandfather was a coal miner in Bristol. And my grandfather, my father's side, Papale's side, Vincenzo, he came over from Naples in 1914, ran through Ellis Island, and wound up in suburban Philadelphia. And he had a 13-acre farm where he raised hogs. But, hogs is sort of like the upper-class version. We call them pigs.
Yeah.
Both great athletes. My mom, tremendous athlete. Actually played baseball traveling up and down the East Coast prior to the war. Was hardball, and her name was Elmira, and they called her Big Al.
Wow. And
and a great swimmer, and actually she was an Olympic hopeful and a pentathlete. But because of the war, she had to go to work for the family. The parents, they weren't into the athletic side of things. And my dad was a he was a great athlete too, semi-pro football player, semi-pro baseball, and the same deal, with the Great Depression and World War II, and he actually got blind in one eye because he was cleaning out the outhouse, and he got the lye in his eye, and his father wouldn't let him wash it out. So he didn't go into the war because, he couldn't see out of his right eye.
Wow.
And thank God, because I wouldn't be here talking to you, for that disability that he had. But I grew up in a housing project. I was a little kid and a lot of stuff going on in our house. My mom suffered from anxiety and some other mental issues, and they were things I had to deal with when I was growing up. And thank God for teachers and coaches. And my dad was a shift worker at Westinghouse, and they were half on strike all the time. So there was a lot of money issues and health issues going on in our house in this tiny little project house we grew up in. And the school teachers and coaches were my mentors, and they were my idols. And because of them, I graduated from college, St. Joe's, went on a track scholarship, and I wound up teaching and coaching. And for 6 years, working on my master's degree. And then in 1976, I had this dream come true that I was a season ticket holder for the Philadelphia Eagles for 10 years.
Wow.
I was a season ticket holder from college at St. Joe's in Philly. And Dick Vermeil comes into town in 76 and has a free agent tryout, and took a shot, and as they say, the rest is history.
Right.
And I got to team up with some great athletes, and I'm really proud to say that my teammate and friend, as we were discussing before I came in here, Harold Carmichael, just got chosen to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just been wild, and then after it was done, I got into the obligatory broadcasting thing, and I was sort of okay. I actually, somebody said, you'd be great in sales, and I wound up being a marketing director for Frito-Lay, and some major corporations, and Sallie Mae, and some student lending and mortgage companies. And then eventually in 2006, the movie came out. Mark Wahlberg became me, and it's just flipped my life upside down, and I travel around the world speaking.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, a couple books.
So you've had this extremely humble beginning, as you just stated, and then again, how you just stated, just flipped around because you became a professional athlete, and then now people worldwide know you because of this movie. Yeah,
and the thing is, said humble, I think that's a key word, Cruz, is that, one thing I try to maintain is my humility.
Yeah.
And never forgetting where you come from, and especially with Vinny and Gabby. They very easily could walk around with a little bit of an air.
Right.
The real story about the mom was she was on the Olympic gymnastics team that competed in Munich.
Wow.
But she didn't compete because she was injured, so she was, they would have classified the world team, but she won the world games, and she was world renowned back in the day in her prime in gymnastics. And, and our kids could walk around, but she's as humble and hardworking as can be, just like you and everybody else we know. So it's been quite an education all the way around. We as a family are growing through it, and the growth process and the journey is still continuing.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of people see, whether you're a professional athlete or a movie star, or you're just famous for whatever it may be, you think that their lives are so much different than us regular people who aren't famous, but you still have your own problems, and everything going on in your life is still similar, except you may have a little more money or you're a little more fame, but you're still just a person.
Well, my wife Janet won't let me ever forget that. That it's not about the money, it's not about the fame. It's really about the character and who you are and what you have inside you.
Yeah.
And I think when people when they say tell us a little bit about Vince. And one of the words that comes out, I said, the guy never forgot where he came from, but he's always willing to help. And it's simply because I'm where I am right now because people, when I needed somebody the most, were there for me.
Right.
Especially again my coach, my teachers, especially my high school coach George Corner.
Yeah. And
Dick Vermeil being there for me, and when I was chasing the dream. But even junior high school coaches that were making, because I was bullied unmercifully, because people found out that my mom was a little bit off, she was a little bit off the spectrum.
Yeah.
And so in the 50s and the early 60s, mental illness wasn't there was something you made fun of. You didn't, and once they found out that that's what I was going through, they were constantly on my back about that, And,
wow.
Hey, but it makes you stronger, and like you, and what you had to go through, what you had to endure. Here you are, you're gifted, you're one of the greatest out there and doing what you were doing and surfing the water games and skimming, and then boom, just like that is taken away from you.
Yeah.
And then that's the test of what you really are, when something that's so dear to you is wiped away in just an instant.
Yeah.
So that's why, that's why I try to tell Vinny, try to tell Gabby, and the same thing for Janet. We've been there. We were the best of the best back in the day, and in just in a second, an injury takes us out. Right. It wasn't a debilitating injury, but one that's debilitating enough that you can't play the sport that you love so much.
Right.
And then when that happens, you start feeling like you lose your identity. Who am I?
Right.
What am I going to be? Where am I going to do? What am I? And are they still going to like me? Are people going to want to be my friend? Am I going to become a burden? And so you go through all those things, and I've written a couple books about it. And you just but it's surround yourself with great people.
Yeah. And
that you can depend on, rely on.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a lot of those people in my life. That's what I attribute how well I'm doing to is people like Kyle and my parents and everybody, the community who helps me out. It's huge. Support is massive. But on that topic, since you're strapped in here, have you ever thought of whether it's from an extreme hit maybe you took on the field or something? Have you ever thought of having an injury as something like this where you're extremely disabled? Or?
Nah, I never entered my mind.
No?
Nah, Cruz. It wasn't one of those things. Maybe it's because I didn't want to face reality of that possibility happening.
Right.
When I was suffering from tremendous sciatica in my third year, actually I got cut from the team in my third year because I didn't tell the coach that my back was, my right leg was going numb all the time from tremendous sciatica. And then finally we were in a preseason game against Atlanta Falcons, or in a game against the Atlanta Falcons. And I was running a route, and I couldn't, and I just fell right on I planted my right leg, and I went down. And then I went and got whatever they did, did an injection. They found I had spondylolisthesis, Wow. So the doc is saying, hey, you take that next hit, you can wind up in a wheelchair.
Right.
And I said, well, I'll take those chances, because the Eagles called me back, and then, it turned out that my shoulders are the things that wiped me out. But, never was part of what we thought about. I think if those things, as you as athletes understand, if that creeps into your head, it just diminishes what you're going to perform and do out on the field. And there's so many things you've got to worry about. The last thing you're going to worry about is being injured.
Right. Especially
me being a bomb squatter.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with this, is to, like you're saying, I don't want people to dwell on it and constantly think about, this could be a possibility, but I just wanted to enter your mind, at least for a moment, and think, there are people who live like this. This is essentially a possibility, and hopefully that will, change people's perspectives and mentality on life just a little bit, and hopefully in a positive way.
Yeah, well, you've certainly got my attention.
Yeah.
And it's I wish I could say I'm feeling real comfortable now, but I'm not. But that's okay. But you know what? You're my hero, man. So I'm thinking if Cruz can do it, maybe I can do it. So yeah, you're motivating me.
I appreciate
that. Yeah,
man.
Thanks, man.
I'm glad I could do that. So onto the movie a little bit. I'm sure you get this question a lot. But I'm sure a lot of people want to know, how well did that movie portray your life or your experience, with the Philadelphia Eagles, and like the tryout? How accurate was that?
Yeah, the tryout was pretty accurate. Yeah, the 40-yard dash and all that stuff, and the initial the free agent tryout. There were a lot of characters out there, and they did a great job portraying it. They brought a couple people in. Yeah. The Cape guy actually is my good buddy. If you want a great cheesesteak in Philadelphia, you go to Tony Luke's, because that's the real Tony Luke. The cheesesteak king, aside from Pat's and Gino's there. But he actually ad-libbed that whole scene. So when you see the movie, if you watch it, it's on Disney. It's all over now. Yeah. And it'll actually be playing really big time before the big game, as they say, the Super Bowl. Yeah. And so they caught that. The thing you were talking about before, Cruz, it's the journey. They captured the journey, and that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. But when they make that movie about you, they're going to do some things that are over dramatized, or they want the audience to feel a little bit of a piece of what's going on there. And they call it play. How does a movie play? How does a certain scene play? And so they'll flip a timeline. They might take one event that happened in '72, like when in the movie that my first wife did walk out on me. and move it for a few years back or ahead to 76 to make it look like it was right before training camp. But that's okay. I had no problems with that because, again, it works with the play of the movie.
Right.
The fact is that it happened. When it happened, it doesn't make a difference to me. But we, one of the real cool things about it is we really needed the NFL's endorsement of the movie in order for us to get what they call the intellectual property rights and the branding rights. So we could use the NFL logo. We could call ourselves the Philadelphia Eagles as opposed to the Philadelphia Vultures or Turkeys. And then finally the NFL acquiesced and they said, well, this is what we want to do. And one thing they changed was they wanted Janet, who was the world-class gymnast we spoke about, they wanted her to become a Giants fan and a bartender. Now the bartender side of things was a little bit, not too much of a stretch because her uncle owned a bar. And we used to go to our Uncle Donnie's bar all the time, just to hang out, and he made the greatest sandwiches, roast pork sandwich in the world. So that wasn't too much of a stretch, but the Giants fan was. And I said, look, Janet, it's your deal here, man. You want to sign off? She says, it's not my movie, it's your movie. So she signed off on it, and we went with it. And now it's great because when I speak, I have a PowerPoint presentation. I have this whole thing about what's real, what's not real, and showing Janet with Elizabeth Banks playing her in her Giants jersey, and then with Janet in reality with the USA jersey on. So that's that. Everything you saw regarding the pro games, that was exactly the way it went. You could take the movie and the hits side by side like they did in Miracle. Again, you had the same guys doing that movie, Rookie and Miracle. So they really did maintain the integrity that they needed to maintain with regard to that. And they changed, and the one last thing I would say, when I found out I made a movie, they changed it to me handing the playbook to Coach Vermeil, hey, Coach wants to see it. The way it really happened is we were out on the field and stretching, and the field was set up for baseball because of the Phillies. Now it's in May and we're getting ready for training camp. No, it's in June. And so it's a base. So we're in right field stretching, and I'm looking around and I'm looking up in the stands where my season tickets are. Where I sit with my dad and all my buddies. That those guys were real. The movie portrayal of them was pretty good. Those guys were real, and I'm thinking, oh my God, if they only see me now. But I still didn't know I made the team. And then Coach Vermeil came up to me. And he said, hey, yo, Pasquale, he called me Pasquale. He said, yo, Pasquale, how you feeling? I said, pretty good. He said, and I thought he was going to cut me. And he said, well, welcome to the team, old man. You're a Philadelphia Eagle. And I just went ape nuts, That's and I jumped in his arms, I said, oh my God. I said, can I make a phone call? So he said, he laughed. He said, what, do you want to have a press conference already? I said, no, I got to call my dad. And he knew my dad, and he says, yeah, go ahead, make the call. So I go into the Phillies dugout, because I knew there was a payphone there. And I had a collect call, and I make a collect call to the shop steward. His name was Slim, and hi, this is a collect call from Vince Papale. So Slim goes, oh my God, Vincey, tell me you made the team. My nickname was Vincey. Tell me you made the team. And I said, Slim, I said, tell Kingy, that's my dad's nickname, tell Kingy that his little boy's a Philadelphia Eagle. And in the background you could hear Slim say, Kingy, we did it, And then you heard all of Westinghouse going crazy in the background.
That is awesome.
And then we wound up at Max's. The bar Max's was a real bar. We wound up at Max's that night. But did a great job, and Greg Kinnear absolutely nailed Coach Vermeil. Nailed him.
Really?
To his mannerisms, to the way he looked, and just everything. And then Mark, I can't imagine anybody. You got Mark Wahlberg. You were 6'2" back then. Mark's 5'9", 5'10". So who cares? It's not about that. It's about how he plays a role. And he promised me he was going to play a role with passion. And then he said, Chris, he says, I'm feeling a lot of pressure, man. I said, you feeling pressure? Why? I said, my God, you're getting $2 million to do this. That's all you're doing is just playing football. He says, well, I was never played a role before where the guy was still alive at the end of the movie, right? Because he was in, oh my God, Planet of the Apes. He was in that one. He was also The Perfect Storm, and he was one other, where he didn't make it to the end. And he says, plus I know you're going to be on set every day, and I want to please you.
Right. Yeah, that's some pressure.
Yeah, which was pretty cool. Yeah, so, that's it in a nutshell. I probably rambled a little bit, but, when you see it, just, hey, but it's your movie. It's all about the dream and people telling you that it's impossible, and, you make the impossible possible and the unthinkable thinkable.
Right, everything's impossible until it's possible, right?
You're right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a story.
I'm sure you've been told that just once or twice, right?
A couple times.
Yeah, a few times.
A couple times.
And so what was your reaction? Piss you off?
A little bit. I mean, it kind of gives you a little drive to be like, is it really? I'm gonna find out. I'm not just gonna take your word for it.
There you
go. So yeah, it's a good little chip on the shoulder to work harder and try to prove people wrong.
Nothing beats having a chip on your shoulder.
I know.
Yeah, but you have to control it. That's the thing. Because if you have that too much of a trip, then there's that edge that some people get uncomfortable with. But you don't have that edge. I don't think I had it. I know Vinny doesn't. My daughter doesn't.
Yeah, that's good, man.
And Janet didn't. Just move on, man.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it moving.
Yep.
So while when you walk on the field with all these professional athletes, whether you felt like you belonged there or not, like what was it like playing side by side with these professional
that's
athletes?
a great question. No, I've rarely been asked that, if ever.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. It was wild, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, because these guys now understand I'm the biggest football fan in the world. I knew the rosters for every team in the NFL. And now I'm on the field playing against them. And that first game, in the preseason, a lot of the stars weren't playing, and I was just, I was more concerned with just, covering my butt and making sure I made the team performing, not worrying about who's around me.
Yeah.
All I knew is I just hit everything that moved, and it turned out a couple of times I was hitting some guys who were all pros, and they did not really take to my style of play.
Yeah.
Back then we were allowed to block below the waist, and we were allowed to crack back from any portion of the field, which was an asset for me. I was running a 4.5 40. I was 198 pounds, and I could bench nearly 300. So I was pretty strong,
right.
Even at 30, but the thing was because I was a vaulter and a jumper, a hurdler, aside from that speed, there was the explosion that you needed, to perform well in those events. And I was, I was
pretty
decathlete.
explosive.
Yeah, I was. So they provided the explosiveness. So aside from the speed I had, that drive to be able to take it and convert that kinetic energy or that horizontal energy into something and give it more energy and power through the body, I had it.
Right.
And I think that's why I forced so many fumbles.
You kind of mentioned it in everything you just said, but what do you think, besides like the skill and the speed and the explosiveness that you just talked about, what do you think you had like mentally that some of these other players didn't have?
Situational awareness.
Yeah.
Situational awareness. I knew when you were saying that's exactly what it was. Vinny has it. Gabriella had it when she was playing sports, and then she opted for dance and cheer and got competitive, and she did very well at it. But that situational awareness is being able to size up whatever is going on in the field at any one given moment and being able to make a decision based upon what you see out there. And a lot of the decisions are going to be things that have just been ingrained in you because of repetition. Others are things that are innate. Don't ask me, Cruz, how I could come off the line of scrimmage in one step and look up and take a look at the triangle. I look at the cornerback. I look at the linebacker to my side and the safety to my side. And in one step, I could read the defense anywhere from numbers 1 to 9 or 0 to 9. And I could do that. So the reason, one of the things, aside from the hard work and outworking everybody, and I used to get an award, I should have worn it, I should have, the t-shirt, it was no pain, no gain. And the other one was a Who's Nuts t-shirt that I've got to get to you and Kyle. And that's just for outworking everybody and on special teams. But, it was and being in better shape was being able to run a good route, catch the football, of course, the skill level, forget about the skill level, but it was that situational awareness and being able to do things that veterans couldn't do.
Right.
And it was just God-given. It was innate. Vinny has it. And that's what's going to help him exponentially when he gets his shot.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. But then, in the movie, they have me sitting in the locker room, not to know if I'm going to make the team. And then it comes one of the most pivotal scenes in the movie. And it's one that involves Gabby and Vinny.
Yeah.
And And I'm driving through the streets of Philadelphia. I see these little kids out there playing in a playground, which was a scene very similar. It really did happen in a game right before we were playing the Washington Redskins. I used to have this little thing that I did with Danny Franks, my teammate and roommate. We had this little run through South Philadelphia and past the stadium, through the park next to the stadium. And there were these kids playing football. One of them had number 83 stenciled on his jersey, on his T-shirt.
Inspiration.
And the same thing, and I looked at it, and I told the kid, I said, hey, I jumped out of the car actually, and I went and had a catch with him. And he said, man, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you were Vince Papale. You know, I had a couple of days growth and, you know, hat on, sunglasses, trying to look half cool.
Right.
And I told that kid I'd make a hit. Well, the hit I made was the one that was reenacted in the movie.
Yeah.
And anyway, with here with that scene with the little kid, you know, running out in front of the ball, running out in the street in front of Mark's car, my car, was Vinny, our son, my son Vinny.
Yeah, so you actually got
and
it.
Gabriella was the quarterback, you know, with the pigtails.
That's
she had a pretty
awesome.
good arm, yeah. And you know, it was such a as Mark says, he calls it. He says a pivotal moment. You know, when I see that little kid. And it was a pivotal moment, you know, because here I realized that it was it's all about the dream.
Yeah.
And, you know, I went right after, and then in the movie I went after that Giants game and just made one, I think I had 4 solos in that game.
Wow.
And it solidified myself. The key to that one, Cruz, was I was really trying so hard to become part of the team and accepted by the team, because they weren't quite sure about me yet. I was getting a lot of publicity when they found out I made the team.
Yeah.
And they weren't quite sure about me, you know. And you know, what was that the tough guy that I was in the training camp? And after that game, I guess I proved my worth, because I got invited to my first team party. And then you had mentioned, you know, what was it like to be on the field with all these guys that maybe are your idols? Well, here I was in somebody's house having a beer with guys that I would have just died to have met back then when I was a season ticket holder.
Right.
And now I'm not just their friend, I'm their teammate.
Right.
And that was so badass, man. It was
That
so
is
cool.
amazing.
And then next year they voted me captain of the team, so it was pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You made captain?
Captain of special teams.
That is awesome.
Not bad.
So you're known as one of the top special teams players of Eagles history, right?
Well, they voted me that, yeah.
That is
pretty proud
awesome,
of that.
man.
Yeah. That was a great moment. I cried like a baby.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, god damn, you know?
Quite the accolade.
Yeah, it was so cool. And I found out I was with my friends down in Maryland on the Chesapeake, and the votes were coming in, and I said, oh man, is this going to happen? And we were watching it, following it, and it happened. And then I had this great picture in my office of the dream team. They called it the dream team.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's killer, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
Quite the experience.
Yeah. Not bad. Yeah, son of a pig farmer. Right?
Yeah, right? Man. I mean, that just goes to show, you know, anything is possible.
Anything's possible. Sure, you know that.
So cool. So as far, we mentioned the chip on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like you didn't belong there? And how did that chip on your shoulder kind of like drive you and push you to work harder and try and outwork these professional athletes who, you know, were quote unquote supposed to be there and meant to be there?
Yeah, it was funny. Again, you know, when I got there, I really felt like I belonged.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when the first camp, Dick Vermeil's first camp, he had over 100 people there. Mm-hmm. The coach actually said, he said, basically, when you first came in, you know, I was really intrigued with your speed. He said, but I sort of was, I saw you as a distraction. And I wanted to see how they reacted to it.
Wow.
And but I always had a tremendous work ethic. I always felt that I always outworked everybody else, you know, and that wasn't a chip. It's just the way it was. And that was given to me by my parents because they were hard workers and, you know, constantly grinding no matter what. You know, my mom giving the last rites 3 times and still getting through that, you know, and my dad at Westinghouse. Nobody worked harder than my dad. But I felt it, and so after he has a rookie camp. He just invites the free agents and rookies, and I was killing it, man. I'm 30 years old, and I'm against all these. I got a scratch here.
There you go.
I see. There you go. That's pretty good. Good thing. Yeah, for a rookie. So I was killing it, man. I was just blowing these kids up. They're coming in real cocky, and Dick didn't have any draft picks because he gave them all up. He didn't give them all up. They were all given up for Bill Berge, our middle linebacker, or all-pro middle linebacker, and one of my best friends and biggest advocates out there. But when the veterans came in, and then I backed off. And then Coach came to me. He says, "What's going on? You're not the same guy out there." He said, "You lost your aggressiveness." I said, "Coach, these are my idols. These guys, these are my idols. I love these guys, man. I'm a season ticket holder. You probably didn't know that." He says, "I'm a season ticket, schmeezin ticket." He said, "If you want to be a Philadelphia Eagle, you better show me what you had last week." Right. And if you know that one scene in the movie where the guys come up, the linebacker and the two defensive backs come up, and, "Hey, Coach, what's going on there, about training camp?" And then he got back at him and said, "What, you won 2 games last year?"
Yeah.
Well, Coach made that same statement to me. Yeah. And when I told it to the screenwriter, that's how he wrote in that scene. Right. And the scene was, in real life, Coach just says, "What, you these guys are your idols after 2 or 3 wins last year? They're your idols? You kidding me? Listen, get your head out of it. Get your head out of the sand," they'll say. And he says, "I'll give you 2 weeks." He said, "If you don't, you're gone." That's all I needed. Yeah. And then I just started lighting these guys up. They hated it. Yeah. Just hated it, because they knew the running play, and we were always in thud tempo, was always live. "What are you doing, man? You're trying to hurt me." I said, "Well, just do me a favor." I said, "If you don't want to get hit, just get out of my way, and I'll yell at you, and I'll tell you I'm coming." I said, "But if you want to get hit," and he loved it. Next thing you know, I wound up leading the team in receptions. We played a game against the New England Patriots and had some big hits, scored a touchdown, but when I knew I really was when I belonged was against the Miami Dolphins down here. Yeah. Just around the corner. And Coach comes up to me and he said, "Carmichael's out tonight. He's banged up. My buddy Harold's in the Hall of Fame now." He said, "We're going to sit him." He says, "So you got everything ready?" So "You ready?" So I gave my classic. I said, "Coach, I was born ready." Well, in the first half, I had 5 catches. I had 2 solos and 3 knockdown blocks in the first half.
Killed it.
Yeah, I killed it. And again, I'm being the emotional guy that I am. Tears were streaming down I got on the phone and I said, "Dad, I think we're going to do this, man."
We made it.
I think we made it. But I had to get through 2 more preseason games, and I got there, and then, as they say, "Hey, congratulations, old man, you're a Philadelphia Eagle."
That is killer, man. I understand the emotionalness, man. Yeah. That's like you stated, going from how you were raised to these guys being your idols and having season tickets, and then boom, you're one of them, just like that. Yeah. Off chance. That's great.
Yeah. And I said to the general manager, Jimmy Murray, and I said, "Jimmy, do I have to give up my season tickets?" He says, "You can let them go." He says, "You don't have to pay for season tickets anymore. We got you covered." Oh, man. Which is really cool.
Beautiful words.
Yeah, beautiful words.
That dedication, man.
Well, maybe stupidity or stubbornness, but hey, it's the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, right.
And Vermeil has the greatest quote in the world. As an opportunity is worth exactly what your preparation enables you to make it. Be prepared for the opportunity. Yeah. And when I was trying out for the team, my high school coach says, "Happy are those who dream dreams and are willing to pay the price and make the dreams come true." So, you willing to pay the price? Huh? What do you think?
Hell yeah.
It's what you do when the camera's not watching. Yep. It's the paying the price.
Exactly.
So all those things come into play. So the elevator speech, it's the mental side of the game. It's just being aware of things that was God-given.
Amazing.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool to hear you talk about that.
Yeah, thank you. I rarely get asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if ever. That's cool.
Right on. Yeah. I'm glad I could do it.
Yeah, my shoulders kill me.
Yeah, how's that being strapped in?
That's all right. It's okay. I can deal with it.
Still living?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So this whole experience of walking on to the Philadelphia Eagles and pursuing this dream and making it happen and being on the team and being this standout special teams guy, and now you're a Philadelphia legend. What is it all taught you, just as far as life outside of the football? What has that experience taught you?
Humility and hope and gratefulness.
Yeah.
Grateful for the opportunity. The humility of people come up and still say, "Hey man, you just made such a great impact on my life." That kind of thing. And it's just insane. And to be called a legend now. The Eagles players, they all call me the legend.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. Adam Thielen, the guy, my Vinny's idol, plays for Minnesota. when I saw him on the sideline, because a couple of years ago the Vikings were coming into Philly for the NFC Championship, and right in coming in, Adam Thielen had that similar background, the free agent kind of a thing. He comes on, and they were comparing him to me. So I get on the sideline before the game, and I'm right where the Eagles bench is, and yo 19, he looks over, he says, "Oh my God, the legend," and that was like so cool. I said, "Do me a favor, take it easy on my boys today. Wouldn't you know it, he scored the first touchdown." But we got him in the end. It's just overwhelming at times, to have little kids. That's the coolest thing. And this little girl, we just bought a house in Jupiter, and there's just this adorable little girl. Her name is Annabelle. And this little girl is just so adorable. She says, Mr. Vince, I watched your movie yesterday, and her father is on Newsmax, John, the 6 o'clock guy on Newsmax. He's my new neighbor down there. And he made him watch the movie. He said, I want you to know who our new neighbor is. And she says, that was so cool. Did you really do all that stuff?
That's awesome.
And just have a little kid, put a smile on her face. Or I belong to Cameo. If anybody wants a shout out, a motivational shout out, I do it. Cameo.com/Vince Papale.
There you go.
And I have so many people, hey, somebody just had surgery, and we know you're a cancer survivor. I'm a cancer survivor since 2001.
Yeah.
You think you give a few words of encouragement. Hey, somebody just got a promotion, or they've got a big thing coming up. You think you can give a little, so for 2 minutes, I'll just turn it loose.
Yeah.
And that has been one of the wildest things. And actually, Gabby and Vinny are the ones, Dad, you always do these videos for people. They ask you to do, hey, would you do me a favor? My friend's feeling a little down. Right. Would you put a video together? Sure, in a heartbeat. And I do that. I say, well, why don't you do it and get paid?
Right.
And now, it's pretty wild. So, that's been the beauty of it.
So you mentioned about your cancer. I want to ask you a couple questions about that. But before that, so as you know, I'm a quadriplegic. I don't have the use of my hands. I need help doing a lot of things. Just about everything, honestly. Like Kyle gets me up in the morning, he gets me dressed, lifts me up, puts me in my chair, he drives me wherever I have to go, feeds me, and so just to part of the point of this show is to raise awareness for people with disabilities and what they go through and their struggles. So I'm gonna have Kyle give you a sip of some water here, and you just have to let him know when you're done with the water, and
all right,
when you think you've had enough.
Okay.
And it's just a very small taste of something that
I'm looking at that water over there at the table, and it's killing me, man. So no straw. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, you're not going to waterboard me, right?
Maybe just a little bit.
It's not when you're good.
Hey,
yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's different.
See, Kyle's kind of got it down now too. In the beginning, he's poured quite a few drinks all over my chest.
Yeah, well, I remember the last time when Vinny was there, we went out. I told Janet, it's so cool, that chair that we sat in when we all went out there on the canal in Delray. That was pretty cool, because that's one of the first times I was with Janet.
Right.
And I said, this is a life I want to have. And here I was with you, man.
Small
so
world,
you brought back great memories from 26 years ago.
Glad I could.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So yeah, again, on your cancer topic, that's a different type of challenge than the disability that I go through, but you were diagnosed with cancer in 2001. Can you tell me about that and how you overcame that?
Yeah, well, it wasn't much overcoming it other than the surgery that I had. Janet was, 2001. I was in my early 50s, and she just says, you ought to have a colonoscopy, and I had no symptoms. And she threatened me. She says, if you don't get one, she says, I'm going to trade you in for a couple 30-year-olds. So just having fun, being a jock. We talk like we're in the locker room half the time. We're both jocks. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll take it. And then of course you have to go through the evacuation process, and take the fleet, and that's not the worst thing in life, but that's what a lot of guys especially, don't want to go through the prep. So anyway, they gave me they gave it to me, and I got the colonoscopy, and they took a couple polyps out, and they said they were benign, but they said there's one there that's way up there in the intestine. We can't get to it. We don't have. So so Janice says, well, he's not leaving until we take that out. He's not leaving.
Right.
And just was, I mean, really vocal. Really vocal to the point of, come on, Jan, I'll just come back next week. She says, you're not coming back next week. Well, wouldn't you know it? That was one that had cancer. That was one that was totally encapsulated. And they found out that I had the cancer. And then I get the word, you get the big C. So my doctor, he says, you got cancer, I'm going on vacation. He's my surgeon. And so anyway, I had a friend, Tony Infantilino. He was a gastroenterologist at Jefferson Medical Center in Philadelphia, one of the best teaching hospitals there. And he sent the polyp out for 7 pathologists, and every one of them came back saying that it's totally encapsulated, that it hasn't gotten into the colon wall. So they set surgery for January 21st in 2001. And it was right around Memorial Day, the Monday after Memorial Day, when I found out I had cancer in '01. Mm-hmm. And then every night I'm there with the kids and I'm thinking, is this going to be the last vacation I'm ever going to have with them? And I mean, they say it's totally encapsulated, but they're not going to know that they get in there.
Right.
So he had the surgery and they did it, and it was pretty weird. So my surgeon comes back from his vacation and he did the surgery. He did it laparoscopically. There was no incision, they didn't fillet me. Right. And took it right through my navel, punched 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a hole through the navel, and it took 6 hours, but no blood transfusion at all. And they took 18 inches of my hose, my colon. The colon's about 5 feet long.
Wow.
Large intestine, and they took 18 inches of it out, and that was it. Put it back together. You resection a hose. That's basically what they did. They resectioned me. And I was supposed to be in the hospital for 10 days. The insurance had us for 10 days. And after they took all the tubes out, I started walking the hallway, and there were 173 1-foot tiles in the hallway, so it was 50-some yards, and I started walking. And then everybody, hey, there's the guy from the Eagles, and I'd stop in and say hi. And they said they got it all. They said there was no cancer after they put it back together. So after 3 days, they let me out of the hospital. And I was just like that, and not a problem since.
Wow.
So I'm a spokesperson now for colon rectal cancer awareness. I've represented some groups. I've done walks in Philadelphia, and I'm just very blessed. That now 18 years later, I can say that I'm cancer free. I get the blood tests, do that, but I get a colonoscopy every 3 months, every 3 years. And I tell everybody when I go out, I tell them the story, that I show, just we need you around, we need you to reach your full potential, and don't be afraid to take the test, it could save your life.
Better safe than sorry, right?
Absolutely.
Get all the necessary tests done. Absolutely. Just in case.
Yeah, that's what you do. You do a preventive maintenance.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's all about.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
How did that experience, you said, luckily for you, it was, that one surgery and you were good to go and you've been cancer free, but kind of tackling that mentally as opposed to other things you've conquered in your life, how did that compare?
Pretty tough, it was just finding out that I had it, Cruz, and then when realizing what the game plan is. I'm a game planner, what's your game plan? What's going on?
Yeah.
I need to know. And once I knew what the game plan and what was going to happen, what the prognosis was going to be, I was pretty comfortable with it. Like you and your rehab and what you are and where you are now, not feeling sorry for yourself. It's all about that attitude. Attitude's the key.
Yeah.
And surrounding yourself with people who are positive.
Yeah.
Not feeling sorry for you. Maybe empathy, but not sympathy.
Right.
And you want strong people that are going to be for you all the time. And that's the way I want it around me. Don't feel sorry for me.
Yeah.
Nothing to feel sorry for. I'm fine.
Right.
The toughest thing was maybe going through surgeries that Vinny had. Gabby luckily didn't have anything major, but we're making the team. But I look back at that; it was just removal of a pimple, and got it out. And
right.
It's never going to happen again.
Fantastic, man.
That's what it is, man. Yeah. Just roll. This is that right shoulder that separated,
Yeah.
It's there. I can feel it.
It's giving you some issues.
That's all right.
Do you think that, all this stuff you've gone through, including the cancer, hearing about that, being on a professional team, growing up with your mother having issues, and your father giving you this intense work ethic, do you think you have a different perspective on life than most people?
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question. I'm not a member of the Lucky Sperm Club. I'm really not. I'm not that kid. That background that I have, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah.
It's made me stronger. It's made me more humble. It's made me more thankful for what I have. There's not a day that I don't think that the car that I drive, the family that I have, the kids I have, the house that I live in, the ability to buy a house down here and up here in Jupiter or whatever, all those things, I never take anything for granted. The health I have, to be 73 years old and to be able to do the things that I do, and what I just did around our house, drag a ton of stuff around, just cutting from trees and palm trees and stuff. And the guy that I'm working with, he says, I don't expect you to do this. I'm having fun. This is great, man. I can do it.
Right.
And so I just consider myself to be the most blessed man in the world, and I'm very thankful for everything I have. And to have a relationship and have a friend, just a friend like you, when you text me and I'm up in Philly and I get a text, hey man, we still on? I get a smile on my face. Yeah, you make me smile.
That's good.
And it's a beautiful thing. So you have no idea the inspiration that you've made and the impact that you've made on so many people. So you just continue to grind and stay positive. It's a beautiful thing.
I certainly will, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you say that too. It is great to hear that, I know I'm in affecting people's lives here and there, but to really hear people express it is it's a pretty great feeling.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, thank you. And I know you've really made an impact on Vinny.
Yeah, that's good. Well, last thing would be, what would your advice be to somebody who is either like your son, trying to make it on NFL team, or just make it to the next level, or even just anybody who's going through hard times and struggling? What's your advice to just push through and to reach your final goal and achieve what you want to?
Well, whether it's Vinny or whether it's Gabriella or whatever it might be, is that I always I'm going to be giving a talk next week in Philadelphia, and it's this group, and one of the themes is making more with less. And the key word there, I said, and continuing to grind to make yourself better, no matter where you are. And I have this saying that was given to me by Coach Dick Vermeil: it's never too late to get into the game. And the whole thing about what I do and what you do, you'll dream of walking again, and I dreamed of playing in the NFL or being a decathlete for the Olympics. And my kids, I know what Gabby's dreams are, and Janet's to do, and she realized her dream and it was shattered. But sometimes those dreams become nightmares, and you can't use that as an excuse for not moving forward. And there's always that thing within you that I say, that's this thing called potential. And it's that potential that you have, that it's just that grind, that gut feeling that you have, that you can take it to the next level. And you know what you are, you know what you have inside you, and what you need to do in order to get there. But the thing you can't let happen is allow people, we call it the bucket of crabs, that if you're the top crab and somebody tries to take you away because you're the chosen one, don't let those other crabs pull you back in because of peer pressure, their insecurity, their resentment, their jealousy.
Right.
All those things that they try to do, the naysayers. You just got to rid yourself of the naysayers and all the noise. The doubters, the one, hey, can't do it, Vince, you're too old, you're 30 years old, it's never been done before.
Right.
That's where the quote comes in: happy are those who dream dreams and are willing to pay the price. And the thing is, are you willing to pay the price? And if you're not, you're a poser. Screw it. Don't even go there. And then we've been around so many, and they always have this, and Kyle, you know that, they just, yeah, I could have done it, but,
right.
Or if. I don't want to hear that.
Yep.
Make the impossible possible, do the unthinkable, go the next level, do the next rep. Work hard when the camera's not on you. You don't cheat. Nobody ever drowned in sweat. That's another Vermeulism. Aren't they great? I use them all the time when I think about them. Who's nuts? I'm nuts. We're all nuts, but just don't let people tell you that you can't. And that's how I end every one of my cameos. I said the reason why is because you're invincible. You've had your invincible moment. Your invincible moments is you can come up with 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
And with Kyle or Vinny, they've already had them. But you know what? If they give up on that next dream and that potential they had to have it come true, is life worth living? And because it's all about the next thing, and it's the positive thing, not the negative. Yeah. And if you think positive and you surround yourself with winners and with people that believe in you and believe in themselves, you can do anything. You can climb a Mount Everest and stand at the top of that mountain and say, look at me, man. I'm invincible. I'm Cruz Bogle, baby. Look at me.
I did it.
Yeah.
That was honestly a great answer to that question, and I hope all of you get inspired by that, because I literally just got chills listening to that. That was
Thank you.
Very well said.
I got chills giving it to you. I'm honored to be able to give that to you.
Love it.
Because you're my inspiration.
Glad.
Yeah, so when I think I can't do something, well, I don't think that too much anymore.
Great advice, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Great advice.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Cruz.
Well, yeah, man. So you've been strapped in probably for about an hour now.
Uh-huh.
And you're still feeling, you said your shoulders.
That's all right. That's just that's chronic pain from the separation.
Yeah.
I mean that would happen. I can't sleep on that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
So you're doing all right.
I'm fine. Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show.
Yeah, I'll give you a shake, but I can't.
Yeah, that's enough shake.
I'll give you a headbutt after it's all said and done.
Go. Amazing story.
Thank you.
I'm sure the point of this is to change people's perspectives.
I hope so.
Inspire people, and I'm sure whether it was just that last little hoorah you just gave right there, or your dedication and how you made it into the league, and just your story in general, man. Somebody's gonna get inspired by this, and that's the point.
I hope so. Thank you.
Can't thank you enough, man. And I'll put some of your social links, your website, and your Instagram, so people can check you out in the description below.
Yeah, Instagram's really simple. Vince Papale 83, and Twitter's 83 Invincible.
All right.
All lowercase.
And your website is?
VincePapale.com.
Boom. I'll put them all in the description below. People will come check it out.
And Gabrielle and I, by the way, real quick, are coming out with a podcast, and it's going to be called Gabbing with Invincible.
Yeah, I remember you talking
about
that.
that's gonna right after the Super Bowl, we're going to start working on that. And we're certainly going to have you as one of our guests.
Awesome, man. I can't wait.
It's going to be great. Yeah, we'll do it down here.
Perfect.
Cool. Yep.
All right, man. Well, yeah, thank you again for coming on.
You're welcome, buddy.
And Happy New Year, man.
Thank you, Cruz. It's going to be a great one. 2020. It's going to be an invincible year.
Beautiful.
Got to believe it.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave us a comment below. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you next week on Paralyze This.